Hello, role players. Today I would like to talk about how I do genies, or, as the title says, the cargo cultists of the elemental planes. Now, if you play your D&D or an adjacent game, then you'll know that a genie is an elemental with a humanoid form. It is not a whirling tornado or a huge ambulatory stack of rocks or an animated wave or a big ambulatory bonfire. It actually has a human form or a humanoid form to it. But it's not a human. It is not physical. It is not made of however many types of matter your game world entails. It is in fact an elemental. It is solely composed of one element, but it is intelligent, it is sentient, and it is very magical, because the magic which gives it form, function, purpose is powerful indeed, powerful enough in some cases to give a wish. And this is why people like to seek them out, for they are the wish givers of the universe. But unknowns to your average mortal is that there are many tiers of genie, or there should be. After all, in current Neo 5th edition D&D, or D&D 1 if you're watching this in the future, there are probably genasi running around, which are mortal genie hybrids, and more mortal than genie, ranging all the way up to the most powerful elemental lords of all. And somewhere in the middle, as a whole range, there's everything from the critter you find in the whatever monster manual you got, to bigger versions. There are littler versions, but they're not. Even though they look human, even though they have palaces, they collect slaves, they have harems, they do the entire Arabian Nights thing, they're not people. They are aliens. They are creatures of air, earth, fire, water, or whatever. And in my universes, they are cargo cultists. They have sentience, they have intelligence, but they have nothing to do with it. In their elemental realm, they typically have nothing to do with it. A fire elemental does not need anything to keep on burning. A earth elemental does not need anything else. It might enjoy eating gems and digesting and pooping out gold, but it doesn't need that to exist. Its magic already animates it and sustains it, however that occurred. But they need something to do with that intelligence, and now and again, often a wizard, sorcerer, whatever, finds a need to summon an elemental, because a huge bonfire, a giant, 10-foot stack of ambulatory rocks, is useful for many, many things, not just burning someone. And so elementals get a view of the strange world of mixed matter, the material plane. And the smart ones see that, these mortals are enjoying some of the finer things in life. And so they come to ape them, they come to imitate them. A prestigious and powerful elemental, if he is summoned to, some royal court to impress a sultan or whatever, will see that it has a marvellous court for the many varied and shiny things, that there are all these people in attendance, that many of them are slaves, and that, the richer and more powerful you are, the more slaves you have. And it sees these as things to do, things to attain, things to acquire. And so that is what the genies have done. They have imitated the society that first learned of them and summoned them, which can be Arabian themed, so you can keep all the marids and genies and sultans and whatever else they have. And they build a palace, they rule over the other elementals, because they have seen mortals do it. And they like it. They want to do it more. And I call them cargo cultists because the more they go to the material world, the more they learn of it, the more they experience of this strange world of matter, where people can fall in love. There is desire in the material world. There is no essence of love to be found, on the elemental planes. It has to be brought there, imported. And, this helps explain, the Genasi. They're people-shaped. Genie are people-shaped things, and when on the material plane, they will do people things, and so make other people. But they are cargo cultists. They desire to be summoned. They want to experience the material. But they do not understand it. They have no real understanding of biology in any way, shape, or form. They may have indulged in sex. They may even find it pleasurable, but they won't connect it to making babies. They are elementals and elemental forms by possibly strange confluence of magic and an element. Or, some elementals probably undergo fission, like a bacterium. But actual, sex and babies is a mystery to them. They won't understand it. It is quantum physics to them. It is beyond their ability to understand. So often when you have genies, when you have elemental lords, have them struggle to understand the mortal adventurers as much as the mortal adventurers struggle to understand them. Have them question them on even some of the most basic concepts, eating, pooping, love, emotions, laughter. So, because that is an interaction, and the players get to go, oh, wow, this is a strange creature, and it highlights their alienness, their weirdness, their strangeness. And that makes them interesting to deal with. And when they are invited to the elemental courts, I once had one who had decided that obviously polygamy was how you measured status in the world, because, kings and sultans and viziers, they had many wives, and peasants had one. So clearly, many wives was a status thing. So he would ask to marry all the PCs, and even though he was male-shaped, he would ask the male PCs as well. He didn't really grasp the idea, of why you were married, but it was something you did, and you had many wives, and you were important. He wished to be seen as important, so this is what he does. Remember, they're cargo cultists. They have grasped the shape of a thing, but not its essence. They don't understand it. They're just imitating. And this makes them weird and unusual, and gives them alien motivations, and suddenly you realize why they are doing things, why they collect slaves. They collect slaves, again, it's a status thing. Important people have many slaves. They wish to be seen as important. They have many slaves. The slaves may not even live a terribly harsh life under a genie, because a genie doesn't know what they're for. It's not like they need to grow food for the genie. It's not like they need to do onerous tasks. The genie can conjure and build far faster than they can. So maybe they just sit around and do nothing, or they form their own society. Oh yes, we're slaves. Yeah, here we are under the whip. But the genies don't understand. They have no need to be cruel to their slaves unless they've seen it, and they've seen that this is a thing to do, or that they get them building things because, again, they have seen people do this, and therefore they decide they must do it. So you might get to an elemental realm and see a bunch of slaves building just a monument. Not to anything in particular, or not, but because it is seen, because the genie has seen this and is now trying to emulate it. And that allows you to leave, just weird and wonderful things out in the astral and the elemental planes and the outer worlds as these strange mercurial creatures try to be like people. And so that sort of explains their motivations and what they're doing. They are trying to be people, but they don't quite grasp the concept. And the next thing that everyone knows about genies is that they give wishes. And the way I like to do this is, I think of the abilities a genie has. It's very fast. It can move. It can often teleport, or it can plane shift. And it's immortal. It has lived a long, long time, and probably has a list of allies and enemies as long as your arm. But more importantly, allies. It would have made friends. It would have made deals. It would have carried favors with many strange and mercurial creatures, from angels to modrons to demons. It knows where an awful lot of things are. It may not desire them. It may not be interested in them. But it will know where they are. And your average mortal's wish is usually, I want a huge amount of money. And so for a genie, they do not have to cast the wish spell for that. They can plane shift, they can teleport, they can go and pick up the large amount of money and bring it back to the mortal making the wish. Or, they say, I wish for this person to fall in love with me. And the genie will know may have heard of a love potion, may know what that is, and think that's a perfectly normal way of going about love. They are an elemental creature, remember. They are composed of essence. And the idea of love being in a small vial, and being the essence of a thing, even if it is quite horribly coercive, they don't know that. They don't understand that. They barely understand, love, sex, and all that. So they're not going to grasp that at all. And they'll go, okay, I can teleport, I can find a love potion, I can find this mortal they're interested in. Why this mortal? The genius probably think, why this mortal? Why any mortal? Why this one in particular? Why not that one over there, or that animal over there? Because, to a genie, that is, there's no real difference between, a human and a goat. They may, except the goat doesn't talk much. Although genies probably are not great conversationalists. But they'll go and find the mortal and, whisk them up, because they're generally pretty powerful. They can do that. And most objects of most people's desires aren't, hideously guarded people with vast powers that can rapidly react to someone teleporting and picking someone up and teleporting out again. So they'll pick them up, shove a love potion down their throat, and deposit them in front of the person making the wish. Bam. Again, no wish spell required. And this is the essence of most wishes, of course. You read Aladdin's Cave Wonders. He wanted enough wealth to impress the princess. He needed to be free of somewhere, so get teleported out. And I can't remember what his third wish was. I think it was to bail him out of trouble again. None of those were what a D&D character would term a wish. So most genies can do this, but the big ones, the truly important ones, the elemental lords, everything, and of course all of them will style themselves as lord this, lord that. They're another class of beings where every hill has a prince. But the true elemental lords, the true wish givers, are the ones that are most desired and the most powerful, strange, mercurial beings there are. And these should be rare and very dangerous creatures to deal with. After all, they can alter reality with a thought. And so they must be, treated with rather kid gloves. Because, they really could just turn you all into deck chairs. Or do something else, or decide that you should all be their slaves and follow them. So getting an actual wish out of a genie should be a perilous task indeed.